what your event entails, and then who do you need to see next? Do you need to go to city council and ask for permission? Do you need to see Chief Glass? But right now, starting with the special events form is where it begins.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Moving on to Riverwalk. Any updates, Bill?
So the final updated cost estimates for the overall project, the final plans have been sent to the EDA for the review. So I think we're just waiting for the final blessing to put it out to bid. So that went out Friday and then Monday. So maybe any day now, hopefully be able to put that out to bid. So we've been kind of working through a bunch of, the EDA had a lot of front heavy requirements, but the idea is once that's all set, I think we're not going to deal with it as much later on. We're still going to have the data station. I think the way they set it up is so there won't be errors later. So.
Was there a time limit on when those funds needed to be spent by?
They are working with us on.
Okay.
That. There's not. They're okay with what's,
okay, cool.
happening. They know we're working through issues.
Yeah. As long as they see progress.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have an anticipated start date or a timeline that you're hoping to get this project started?
So as soon as we're going to probably put it out to bid for 4 weeks. So as soon as we get the go ahead, and then I anticipate probably within maybe 2 to 4 weeks after that they'd start. Hopefully sooner, but yeah. So 2 months would probably be a good guess at this point.
So you're gonna have them start kind of in midsummer then, or how's that?
And we'd have to work through details like that with the contractor, but I know it's, and I could maybe do it in a section at a time, so we could have to work with them on signage and make sure we don't disrupt the Riverwalk too.
Is that in the bid, what sections they would be doing first, or does West Shore, because I know they were a part of that too, when does their piece start moving forward?
We could talk to the contractor. Usually, well, obviously they don't want it in the school year.
Oh, I'm just asking, just to try to understand like what that process looks like.
Yeah, we typically, we get the bids back and then we kind of work with them on the schedule and we kind of leave it to them that works best. But then also we have to do considerations of things on the Riverwalk. We can point things out. So any feedback would be helpful. So if you think there's things to take into consideration.
So it will be pedestrian traffic will have to be moved off the Riverwalk in those areas. So I'm thinking summertime like you,
Yeah,
especially like start maybe over here because that'll be a larger hub of pedestrians. So
Okay.
maybe this section first.
Okay.
I think in general we're just trying to get it started and get it
Yeah.
going. But there's definitely some things.
It'll
to
be
look through.
tricky, yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Anything on a bridge update?
So the electricians is in town next week, so they plan to have the electrical done next week. Still shooting to have, a couple lanes of traffic open by Memorial Day, so.
Okay.
So no bad news.
There's going to be one lane, north and southbound
That's my
by
understanding.
Memorial Day? Okay.
And then a shutdown following that, or staying open after that?
They may need to do a shutdown later. I don't have the details on that yet, so we'll see how much they get done in the next couple of weeks.
We'll be happy with 1 lane right now.
Yeah.
And this is still as a result of the part, or what exactly is holding up things?
They did have that track issue. I'm assuming that was the fabrication issue was the main problem. Jeff's been going to the update meeting, so I tried to get it quick and dirty for everyone, but if you want to send me some emails, I can respond to those.
Okay. Mark Sandsted's here for a proposal. Are you prepared?
I am,
All
of
right.
course. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I didn't make quite enough copies, so I might have to ask a couple of you to share, but I don't think that's a problem. So, good morning, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to present this to you guys again. So last year, kind of segue off the bridge, we came up with a way to try to help the downtown merchants collaborate to mitigate the effects of that. Obviously, we're going to be getting through the bridge here hopefully sooner than later, but nonetheless, promoting our downtown to locals and visitors alike is an ongoing process. So basically, the DDA pitched in $500 a month last year for July through October. And by virtue of that, our radio station extends a 50% nonprofit discount or a 100% match. So we extended that to the DDA. So basically, we created this pool of ads. We had 25 merchants participate. I'll pass out this year's proposal, which is very similar to what we did last year. It allows merchants to participate at 3 levels, from $99 a month up to the $299 a month, depending on how many ads they have. And as you can see on that summary sheet, it had a pretty tremendous impact. We ran 1,500 commercials over the course of the campaign over the 4 months. And what the radio station contributed was $11,500 in additional value. So your $2,000 investment, along with the merchants that participated, created over a $30,000 impact for downtown. You may remember we had the jingle, "There's so much, so close," 3 participating merchants on each commercial, and it ran very effectively. We got very, very positive feedback. So as you guys enter your new budget year, this would just be a time for you to give that some consideration, and I can answer any questions or anything that you may have. So you know, it's an ongoing thing, and it just gives us an opportunity to come together and create, again, a pool and a message that can run from July 1st through the end of October.
Was each merchant contribution the same, or were there
No,
different levels?
if you look in that proposal, Kyle, there's 3 levels.
Oh, right,
So there's
okay.
it just depends on how much frequency you had.
Okay.
And it's divisible by 3. So if you
Yeah.
jumped up to the next level, you got 3 times as many ads as the previous level. So,
Okay.
that was the way mathematically that we could, you know, kind of configure that.
Yeah. Do you have any feedback right now from what the desire of the merchants are, or do you want us?
Well, I haven't approached them because I think the DDA participation is really important
Okay.
because it shows the merchants that, hey, we're kind of all in this together.
Yep.
I don't know if we would pursue it without the DDA participation. I
Okay.
guess we have to see how the merchants felt about
Okay.
that. But I think it obviously makes it a little more palatable if everybody knows
Yeah.
that the DDA has some skin in the game too.
Okay.
Do you have any statistics on like how many people tune in?
Terrestrial radio is difficult, obviously, to measure. Digitally, you know, we have thousands of people listen monthly, but that's all over the country. So, you know, to tell you, you know, right now how many people are listening to the radio, I don't know that. I know we just ran a promotion with the casino. We had 1,700 entries to that promotion. So we have a significant local audience, and as important in the summer, we have a lot of people, our visitors listen because we're local, they're tuning in to see what's going on, what restaurants are open, what entertainment is happening. And then we had Mark on monthly as a representative of the DDA to talk specifically about DDA initiatives. And that's a part of this. So we had Mark on once a month. So I can't give you a number. I can just tell you that we have a significant and loyal audience and a large reach from Frankfurt to Shelby. So it's not just Manistee. We have a lot of Ludington advertisers and listeners. And again, 25 merchants participating, I think, is a pretty strong statement to the value of the campaign.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that grow, obviously.
How far east?
East, we get not east. Once you get on the other side of 37 in the hills, it kind of starts fading out, but there's not a lot to draw from the east. We do not get into Cadillac, but again, our streaming, we have an app, and our streaming audience is growing. You know, every month we see that stream just grow and grow and grow. So the people that want to listen to the radio station can listen to it pretty easily.
Thanks, Mark. Is there any questions for Mark, or any energy here on a direction?
I'm always all about advertising downtown Manistee. I think especially, so I'm in favor for it. I think really especially because the bridge has been out for so long, and it's going to be, I think we should put some really big hype about, we've never been closed, but it's there and available,
Yeah.
and so I just show favor for it.
Getting
Do you-
back to normal.
Yes, getting back to normal.
Deanna, are you still having regular merchant meetings?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Those monthly?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
and the next one will be next Tuesday, so
Okay.
I definitely could bring this information to
Okay.
the merchant, or Mark, you know, you've been, so.
Yeah, I've been coming to those.
Okay.
Yep.
I was out of town the last time, but
Mhm.
you know, the feedback that we got was very positive.
Yeah.
You know, in general.
Carmen, what does our budget look like for a line item for this?
So, it would likely fall under the advertising budget, and, we budgeted 15,000 for the fiscal year of 2024, 2025.
Okay.
I do think that this would fall into the advertising budget. Now, please keep in mind that we have a social district that comes out of there. I'm not sure if we're gonna do anything out from that advertising budget in the next year regarding any other types of advertising, like, it could be additional signage, it could be, I don't know, downtown wrap for the windows. I mean, it could be anything, but that would come out of that line item.
Okay.
Well, I think as we're going through this is probably an important thing to support.
Is there any action that,
Sure, I'll make a motion that we,
okay?
Karen, can you just repeat that? You would like to make a motion to support this?
yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Any
What do we
discussion?
call it,
or-
the MDDA partnership investment?
Mm-hmm.
$2,000.
Any discussion or questions? Thank you, Mark. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again.
We'll be at the Merchants and we can actually roll it out. Gives me a little bit of a head start from where we were last year. So thank you all for the time. and
Yeah.
I appreciate your participation.
And it's the 21st is
21st.
the next merchant meeting,
Thank
not
you.
next Tuesday, 2 weeks from
You want to sign this now?
Yep. Okay. Tax increment financing. Tyler, anything?
I don't think we have an update for this meeting. We did draft some guidelines in the application and things like that, but we haven't met to discuss them.
Who's on that committee?
Bill, Bruce, and myself.
Okay. Okay. New business, dumpster enclosure.
So this one, I think was Mark was kind of handling a little bit of it, and we had some inquiries. And ultimately, I think this is a DDA decision about adding dumpsters. If they want to be capital, is there wants to be a capital investment, because that was the past practice. Property owner next to the outsider, I think it's the auto shop, said the Mark had been in contact with him about leasing space for a dumpster. Previously, the city was involved because it was on city property. So these are private property owners who are offering, and there were some Percanos, and we needed some, I was putting out a bunch of these totes for garbage every week. So this is just an idea of put some more dumpster enclosures in. Another one that came up was the Bluefish was looking at the city parking lot, but it's actually privately owned, but the city leases it. I took a look at that lease. If someone did add a dumpster enclosure, it states that they can terminate the contract and then still keep whatever improvement is made, so I think there needs to be an amendment to that lease. But I think the first step is seeing if the DDA is interested in doing this. I think it was 60,000 you mentioned.
I recall them being approximately 60-some thousand dollars, 80? Okay. Yeah, there's two different size ones that we paid to have built, but we certainly didn't budget for it for this. And I'm a little bit concerned about investing public dollars on private property.
And there's some other options. Bluefish has some private property of their own. There's the Holdings property next to.
That's a ways away from everything, though. Somebody would have to want to take a hike to throw away their trash.
Well, this would be that dumpster enclosure over on your piece of property there, or Little River Holdings, I should say, would be for the restaurant on that side of River Street. So Bluefish, has an issue
It's
with,
still far away from even Percanos or the
for Cano's, that would be completely separate. So for Cano's is looking at.
Oh, you're talking about down here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
there's-
I thought you were
there's
talking
two
about
different
the other side of River
Yeah,
Street.
these
I was
are
like, what are
two
you talking
separate
about?
things,
Far
yeah.
away from everything.
So,
Makes more sense now.
just
Are the
to
only
kind of give your
dumpsters that
backstory.
the city has are the ones in the parking lot behind the outpost? Are those the only two?
In the parking lot
In the-
behind Manistee Tire,
There
there's a
is?
big one.
There is a big one, and
Yeah.
anybody
There's a lot of
can
space
throw
in
their
there.
garbage in there? Okay, all right, I didn't know that.
It's actually
That's
quite a
good
bit
to
larger.
know. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That makes a lot of
So for the problems down here with Fracano and those guys, where we own like the Hallmark property, there's an alleyway, and I can't recall if that was the city alleyway or if that was our property. And then there's an alleyway on the other side of the old, where United Way is. And I don't know if those are city properties or private property, but I kind of thought that the alleyway next to our property was city. I don't think we own that. It's been a long time, but I can't, might want to look at that.
Which property do you own?
That we owned the Hallmark, where Hallmark is, we owned that.
Owned, not currently.
Not currently.
Okay, all right.
But when we did, there's an alleyway
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So, and there's an alleyway on the other side of the, like, United Way building. I thought those were city, but I'm not 100% sure, but I checked those.
Go ahead, Barry.
I know this is probably inappropriate, but
It is very.
I guess I just have to jump in because I was involved in kind of that process as to when the switchover happened, these dumpsters were built. And just the tone of this just hits me because at that time, garbage collection is a city service. This isn't a DDA topic at all, really. At that time, because of the ongoing forever, the DDA doesn't contribute enough to the city mentality, there was some serious arm twisting that said, DDA, we're going to force you, I'm speaking frankly and probably out of context, to pay for this city service because we think the DDA owes the city more money. And now the description of it is that, oh, well, that's a DDA responsibility to build these enclosures. And it's like, no, let's go back to ground zero. This is a city service. The DDA can participate, but now I understand private property, that's a different scenario for both parties. But if we're talking about, and even at that time, anticipating development at the intersection of 31 and River Street, it was discussed that as part of any DDA city agreement with Little River Holdings on that parcel, there should be part of that agreement, dumpster enclosures to service that end. So I'm just, again, providing a little bit of the context because it just bothers me how this is coming across. So I'll
Okay.
shut up now. Sorry.
I do have a question on that note, though. How is, and pardon my ignorance, but how is garbage collected now? I mean, is there, for something like the restaurant, do you have a dumpster? Do you put bins out every Thursday or whatever?
We have our own dumpster. It's in the Manistee Beverage parking lot. So
Okay.
they're nice enough, and the new owner is nice enough to allow me to keep it in there. But it's my own dumpster. We pay for it. And we have had issues recently with some other restaurants throwing their garbage in there, and then I get hit with a fine because it's overflowing. And so that's why it's an issue. We need to do something.
So when Republic and the city agreed to remove curbside pickup prior to these corrals being built, it was understood that that would be done, I believe, up to Maple, because the buildings west of Maple, there's an alleyway behind those buildings, and so Republic could still get in there. We wouldn't have trash bins on River Street. And the ultimate goal was to get the trash bins off River Street.
Well, I mean, because I'm going through this at my condo, and not to personalize all of this, but there's a dumpster for our condo
Right.
area. For whatever reason, other people are using it, yada, yada. We've suggested, well, maybe we all need individual trash cans then. And the city told us no. So at some point, I mean, I don't disagree. Is this a DDA issue? Is this a city issue? Because the alternative being, okay, are we seriously going to pick up trash at every single business as we walk along? Or is the city going to say, well, you need a dumpster, and therefore enforcing it like they're doing with Lindsay?
Well, we knew that there was going to be some shortcomings, and that was we started with these 2 enclosures. There was still pickup available west of
Sure.
Maple, and so I think,
Right.
I see it right now as, we're not responsible for it, but we have participated in the discussion.
Right, and there's something ironic about saying, well, these are facade grants that we're issuing, but we don't care if there's trash everywhere. So, we do have a stake in this.
Oh, for sure,
in
yeah,
some
yeah.
ways, so-
And I think the goal was accomplished of getting trash off River Street.
Sure.
But for instance, with the Outsider, they have a street behind them where Republic will pick up containers. So I don't see that as big of an issue. For Cano's a little bit different. Bluefish has private property.
Except, and, Andrew's gonna get into this. Mark has taken developers back onto Water Street as the next available, space to expand. And developers take one look at Water Street with the trash bins and they say, no way. So, kicking the problem up to Water Street doesn't make the problem go away. It kicks it down the road a little bit, but it doesn't make it go away.
It's not going away.
I see what Sammy's saying. I mean, as a business owner, that is like, feels like nobody would ever see where we have our dumpster, and then having to close it, and then I didn't close it the proper way, and then I, fined because I didn't have the right doors on it, and it's like, it was my responsibility for our company. So it's like, I get what you're saying. It's your responsibility. So why is DDA saying, the only thing I can think is it would be nice if the DDA had property that we could designate and the city could work to put, like, too bad, I was thinking of on Water Street, if we would build a nice enclosure where they bought the cart thing, all that property, those 4 acres, whatever there, or 4 lots. I mean, that would have been a great investment for the DDA to have a central spot and then one on the other side, like you're saying. It's complex. Garbage is always messy.
No, I think the DDA and the city will continue. Yeah, I think the DDA and the city will continue to work together.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
get
an
Andrew
issue.
involved as well.
Yeah.
So trash collection does happen now. This is an enhancement, and it can, future growth or, so.
Okay, moving on from trash.
Can I just ask one more question?
No,
Please?
yeah.
So, going back to the original reason that was brought up for kind of with the facade grant with Bluefish, is there someone that should be reaching out to Connie, or should we set up a meeting just so we can try to figure that out?
Facade grant?
Isn't that part of the reason with the whole trash, because of the way that that's gonna be with her?
Yeah, because that's going to eliminate where she can put her trash on her private property. So that means she needs a spot to put her trash because I think their current situation is not feasible. So that's why they need to have, and I don't know if this is something that we can create like a short-term solution by working with maybe Little River Holdings or working with the person that owns the parking lot across the street. But I think we need to come up with some sort of solution, especially before we get into the high peak tourist season.
Well-
But I agree, we need to come up with
I'm just
something.
asking
Yeah.
is to follow up with Connie, if there's a designated person, if you want us to follow up or work with Bill or Kyle,
Well,
or just so we
yeah.
don't leave her hanging if she asks.
Right, but I don't think we need to come up with a solution. She's asking for help, and we're happy to help, but it's not our responsibility to come up with a solution for her trash. But I'm not familiar exactly with that project with Connie, but, so I can't speak to where we're at with it. But I don't want the narrative to be that it's our responsibility to take care of it.
No, I'm just trying to make sure that we brought it up and we address it somehow
Okay.
with that business owner.
Okay.
That's,
She may not, also, I would let them know about the trash bins up on that other park up behind Filer Street or off of Filer. It doesn't sound like everybody knew that they were up there by Manistee Tire. So
What is she doing with her trash now?
Yeah, well, they have a
I think she has a dumpster.
They have a dumpster, it's just kind of
I
on
mean, I
that,
understand we're not gonna, it just,
yeah.
here's the option.
So it might not be working well, but.
Does she need somewhere like temporarily while Her building is being, is that what the issue is?
I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with the issue, no,
You
so.
might want to just talk to her about that,
Let's-
let her know it's there.
Let's move on to
I just,
not getting so specific, but staff can work with Connie on it.
Got it down. Thank you.
There's an estimate in front of you from Mark Thompson, a tree and stump removal. I met with Mark last week. This is in reference to the 2 trees up near the sidewalk in the DDA parking lot next to Dick's Barber Shop. We've talked about this a couple times, or I have. They're overgrown. They're starting to cause some issues with the asphalt and stuff, and I believe they need to be removed. I think that this is a fair estimate. This is an estimate for tree removal and stump grinding in those small curved-in areas. And I would see after that some low-growing landscaping. We wouldn't be able to plant trees in there anymore because the stumps, the root system is going to take up all that space. But he can grind them down. I had him grind down a couple stumps for me last week, and he can get down pretty deep. So some smaller landscaping could be put there. So he is out of Bear Lake, Onekama, and is fully insured. And his recommendation would be to do it on like a Sunday morning earlier, close the parking lot off, and kind of come in and leave no trace. So, any questions on that?
We talk about budget here a lot. Where does that fall in the budget?
I think we put it in there, didn't we?
Yeah, we would have the fund to do that, so I probably would put it under the DDA design project. We have $7,000 left in that budget line item, so that would for sure cover the 1,200 estimate that was created.
Okay. He's pretty busy. He said he'd do it, but I'd like to push if we're all in agreement on this, I'd like to kind of push it through so it's on his schedule, and then I can work with him on when he's going to do it. So.
We just had some estimates done personally for removal of trees and stumps. I think this is a very fair estimate. I would like to move to make a motion to approve this at this meeting so that we can move forward with it and maybe get it done before busy season.
Thanks, Deanna.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
I might have to go get an estimate.
Public comment.
I guess I will comment. Since you guys talked about trash, and I'm not going to talk about trash, but kind of, I think, borders on that. So last night at City Council, one of my concerns with the budget was nothing to do with the DDA budget. I totally got what you guys wanted to do and was totally supportive of that. But my concern was there was kind of a large gray area, and what would services look like? Because it's always been commented on, well, they paid this much money so they get these services and we have to do that. From a City Council perspective, I was unclear on, I know you guys wanted to pay less for those services, which again, I totally supported, but I wasn't sure what does that look like? Like, are we still, my opinion is downtown is a city responsibility too, it's a shared responsibility. So we should be picking up trash, we should be cleaning the restrooms, all of those things. I mean, restrooms ideally should be cleaned in an ideal world multiple times a day. That's probably not always gonna happen, but at least daily, right? Does that mean then we're going to 3 times a week of cleaning bathrooms? There just wasn't a real definition on that, or kind of even a starting point. So that kind of made me feel uncomfortable because I didn't want to see the services that business owners or building owners receive be diminished. Because we all count on that, not only for you guys down here, but citizens, tourists, everybody. And things spread. I mean, those are the things we hear from people regardless of, well, the bathroom's not clean, somebody put something out on Facebook, and then it just spreads. So, as you guys kind of proceed, I'm really interested in what your guys' feedback might be on that and what would be ideal for you guys. But my main goal is that I hope we don't see a diminution of those services that you guys are accustomed to. The other question I had, I did have a building owner reach out. They're concerned about their sidewalks. I directed them to the DPW because I'm assuming the DDA doesn't do anything with sidewalks. Like, I'm just wanting you to make sure that those are all DPW.
Yeah, we don't own property,
Well,
generally,
right,
so.
but I wanted to make sure like there wasn't a form that they have to like submit to you that then goes on.
No, they can get online now and.
That's what I told them, do the C-click fix. Because they said something about, like, last year there was a board that was put over it. Like, there was
Yes.
kind of a hole, and they said, this is like a safety issue. And they're like, it's really on the city, but if they fall into my window, like, so it kind of became a bigger thing. So I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a process I wasn't aware of.
I think the C-click fix is,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I directed them, but just
Thank
wanted to
you.
make sure. Thank you.
I think just briefly regarding the responsibilities, and Tyler and I had, when we did our first contract negotiation, this was a large discussion, but boiling it down to, as a DDA, if we bring enhancements to the downtown district, we try to also, like the marina project was a co-project, and money was set aside to maintain that. And so as a DDA, as we consider other projects, we should always bring in the city because it is a maintenance issue. The fountain, the clock, all these are extra things. And so we always have to work with the city to see, because we then turn it over, it becomes their property, and now we've turned over an extra expense. And that was previous history. I think it's done much better in trying to plan things together.
So just, I guess, a couple responses to that. So I think there's, maintenance is one thing, and then services is another thing.
Yeah.
And maintenance, obviously sidewalks, that's DPW, that's us. I think we're overdue for a streetscape. I think that's not,
Yeah.
at some point, you are doing a lot more maintenance on something that just needs to be refreshed. As far as the services agreement I mentioned last night, I sent a draft to Kyle, also sent it to Carmen yesterday. And I did kind of go through, we had that discussion with what would the city do if there wasn't a services contract? And I delineated based on, obviously the city would take care of the downtown, but maybe it'd be at a park level where, in terms of trash pickup, in terms of how the bathrooms are treated right now, we keep them open through the winter. Typically we winterize all the park ones, close them for the winter. So there was those distinctions about basic service and then enhanced, and then the watering of flowers, the putting out the the enhanced removal of snow on the sidewalk, and actually removing all of the snow from the downtown area. That would be enhanced as opposed to just plowing. So it's quite a fun and tedious exercise to go through every single thing and put hours to it and costs. And so I'm going to have that as an attachment to this, to show the value of the services, and we are looking to bring it in at the 32.5 and kind of, what the city does contribute, I think, almost $200,000 annually with the tax capture, but that is to enhance the downtown. But a lot of other places you will see like watering of flowers, you'll see some snow removal, some things like that. Some of these enhanced things would be done by a private contractor, and the city is taking those on, which I think it's just wanting to have some recognition of that. But based on Barry's comments, talking with Kyle, so there's a lot of history here about, I'm just trying to make this fair, put it behind us, and move forward is kind of the idea. So we're hoping to have that next meeting, and we can go through that detail.
So I think we've effectively moved into board member comments, so I'll go and just on those two things. Bill and I did meet again this morning on that, and I'm happy with, we're in draft form, and I think it addresses a lot of your concerns, Seth, and I think the board will be happy with it, but that's for you to decide. But I think we can have it at the next meeting, yeah.
So the thought is to come to this board and then a recommendation to council.
Okay.
So on the snow plowing thing, enhanced services, removing the snow, what would be the alternative? We'd plow and leave piles somewhere?
So I guess, and I've heard stories back in the day where, and actually the ordinance says that business owners on River Street clear their own area.
Yeah.
But it does, it's problematic, it's not a good process. I mean, it would be, just kind of get piled up on the sides, it ruin the curb parking, so I don't think it's.
We're talking about sidewalks, plowing the whole.
We're talking about plowing the street as well.
Oh.
And then how, actually getting rid of all the snow is something we do uniquely for downtown.
But is that because of the way the geography is and the city is laid out, or is that because of the way something that the DDA has caused or requested for an additional service? Like if the DDA did not exist,
Right, and
and
that's gone.
what services would the city still provide regardless?
Right, and I was saying at a park level we would, so I did consider, yeah, snow removal of the entire downtown as an enhanced
It would be nice to know what that line item cost is, because if you think about melting the snow instead of using all that equipment to
We
pick it up
have-
and take it out.
We have both, we have both of those.
Okay.
Yeah. All that was definitely considered, but there's also reality in what just needs to get done. And I think what Bill's saying is just some recognition, you know, and he did cost it out. And it's significant compared to what we contribute, so.
Although, and
Anyway,
there
you'll
are-
have-
And there are
It's a
still
partnership.
taxes that
Yeah.
the city does still collect from the downtown. The baseline tax value is still collected, so it's not like the DDA captures all of the taxes in the district.
What we're trying to do is get away from the us and them. It's a partnership, and we're contributing a small amount for some of these enhanced services. But I think when you see the proposed contract next month, you can make comments at that point too. Any
I
other,
know I'm past public comment.
let me finish with board.
Okay.
He's with me.
What's that?
He's with me.
Any other board member comments?
Glad you claim it, just kidding.
Going back to.
I have a comment.
Oh, please.
And it's sort of DDA related, but don't forget to vote for Best Beach for USA Today. We're currently second, so we have a couple more weeks to vote, and you can vote on every device, every day. And sometimes I go into the private settings and vote multiple times per computer.
Jeez,
So,
that's cheating.
and also,
We're being recorded, Sammy.
our visitor guides are here, so those will be distributed downtown here in the next week or so. I've got a new little wagon that I'll pull it on to make sure it gets in. And we'll be refreshing the vestibule for our downtown kiosk, so we're excited about that.
And there's no reason Clarkston, Michigan should have the best beach, and it's just.
That's right.
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
You know, who knew?
yeah.
Do they have a beach?
I think Andrew knows where that is.
It is nice, but it's
Yeah,
not like Michigan.
it's kind of surprising. I wouldn't say it's a very nice beach, so I don't know how it's up there at number one.
We have you on record.
A lot of people in Clarkston go there, so.
Well said.
But did you hear the highlight of that? Every device, every day.
Multiple times a day, sometimes it'll say 4 hours. And it is a big deal. I mean, when I look at First Street Beach, there's communities that are arguing over a bathroom. And we not only have a full-service bathroom, we've got a great concession stand, we've got a beautiful hotel that's there, it's lovely, it gets cleaned up by the DPW
Revamp all.
and swept, it's just beautiful, so.
Is this
we
only
deserve
for
to
First
win.
Street?
Two
Only
huge
for sure.
slides that nobody else has.
They're massive, so please vote.
Okay.
Speaking of which, the beach master plan, I think the board's been invited, sessions 1 to 2:30 at the marina, so. yeah, make sure you put it in.
Any other board member comments? Going back to public comment.
Oh, you're touching on all the hot topic topics from my passion.
I think I talked to Kyle, I didn't have one.
So-
We keep our meetings to an hour, Barry.
So I
He's got 13 minutes.
just gonna ask the board to look at the big picture. And there's a couple things that I think are missing in this discussion as you get down into the details. And that is really trying to understand how the DDA is funded. And also look at what is standard practice amongst other communities. And I'm just going to relate, so when we did the last TIF update, the DDA hired a consultant to help us through that process. And his reaction to how much money we funneled to the city was actually, he was shocked. He questioned actually whether that was legal. And I say that legally because you are capturing county dollars, library dollars, you're capturing all these other dollars for the purposes of the DDA, not to take those captured dollars and shift them into fund city services. So when Tyler's asking questions about what would be the level of service in the downtown if the DDA didn't exist, I find it hard to believe that City Council wouldn't succumb to pressure from all the businesses downtown that say, we don't want 6-foot snow drifts blocking every parking spot downtown. That's not acceptable. And that's going to happen whether the DDA is there or not. So just saying, oh yeah, snow removal, that's an added service because we don't do it in the rest of the city. What we do in the downtown versus the rest of the city isn't going to be the same. And that shouldn't be the definition of just because it happens downtown, it's an enhanced service. And therefore the DDA should use county captured dollars to fund it. So I think you need that bigger perspective when you're seeing what is reasonable and fair, and I would really encourage you to look at how other cities deal with similar issues.
I think we did provide, I have that as well, but yeah, it's all over the map in terms of how other DDAs are using their funds.
Okay. Thank you all. Anything else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Deanna.
Second?
Thanks.
Who was the
Lindsay?
last one?
Deanna and Lindsay.
Thank you. That's one of the things.
Okay.